Most definitely.
Chris, I need to talk to you real quick. I wasn't the girl I wanted to give it to. I froze and forgot.
Our apologies for making you wait tonight.
I accidentally called out the wrong name. I'm very embarrassed to tell you this.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
When you're ready.
What's up, guys? Your boy Benny. Hypothetical here, but let's say you worked at Joe Biden's White House. Yeah, I know. Good. Could you imagine? But you spent all day writing screechy, angry tweets about how racist Donald Trump is and how the border wall is a racist. And you're very proud of your work. It's very creative. And you're about to leave the office and you take the remote control. You're about to click off the warm glow of CNN that's been there all day. And you just catch one segment on Anderson Cooper's show. And it makes your ears perk up. And here's what they're talking about.
You might think, that Hispanic voters might be the types of folks who would have a backlash against Donald Trump's remarks, right? Ain't the case. If you ask Hispanic voters who do they trust more on border security and immigration, overwhelmingly they trust Donald Trump more by a tremendous margin. Look at that, 49% to 24%. And that is in line with what we're seeing in the polls in general amongst Hispanics, right? Joe Biden won them overwhelmingly back in 2021 and by over 20 percentage points. Democrats normally carry them overwhelmingly. If you look at the polling right now and an average of polling amongst Hispanic voters, who do they choose in the ballot test? It's barely Biden by about 2 points. It would be the smallest margin for any Democratic candidate among Hispanic voters basically throughout history since we started polling the gosh darn thing. So the fact is, at this point, there's no backlash, and at this point, I don't see one coming.
How much therapy? How much Xanax? How many screaming into the pillow would have to happen for that Biden White House worker after seeing that? Oh, it doesn't matter what Donald Trump says. Hispanics like Donald Trump. CNN admits that Hispanic voters trust Donald Trump on Biden more than immigration, double digits more than Biden. My fellow Hispanics are sick of illegal immigration, period. That's because anyone can click on their TV and obviously see what we saw at the border just like an hour ago. Look at this. How do you not call this an invasion? Look at this. An army of military-aged males storming their way into the country, assaulting American military members. Rabid criminal invasion. That's what this is. It's an invasion. There you go. Yep. So yeah, people are like really, really sick of it. And that's also starting to show in the polling, right? So the polling is showing that Hispanics, which were never really that close with the Republican Party, are now at historic highs in support for the Republican Party, right? And the same thing with black voters, and the same thing with white voters, actually. The separation is getting like absolutely wild, where white voters are now like on a preponderance voting for Republicans. So is there any good news for Democrats? No. It's actually going to get a lot worse, ladies and gentlemen. If you were to see these polling trends, and if you were to ask yourself, well, in what world could I, well, maybe make up a enormous portion? Maybe I could flip this, and I could turn all of the Hispanic voters to Republicans, because actually Hispanics naturally should be voting for Republicans based on simple economic principles, simple moral principles, religious principles, common sense principles. I mean, you came here to get a better economy. Is that right? Do I have that correctly? Right? How's that working under Joe Biden? I mean, it's amazing. Even CNN is interviewing criminal aliens, asking them if they would vote for Joe Biden or Donald Trump. And they're saying Donald Trump.
Documentado. Si yo pudiera votar en este momento, votaría por Donald Trump.
I would vote for Donald Trump.
Él es nacionalista y quiere que este país esté bien.
He's
Aquí
a
nacieron mis
nationalist?
hijos y quiero que mis hijos estén bien.
¿Y por qué más? Why else?
No votaría por Joe Biden por este motivo.
I wouldn't vote for Joe Biden.
Tiene el país hecho un desastre.
The country's an economic disaster under Joe Biden. I would vote for Donald Trump, says this guy who's here illegally. I would vote for Donald Trump because I'm here for the economy. And I'm here for a better life for my children. Period. It's incredible, ladies and gentlemen. So maybe there's a reason to lean into that. Perhaps there's a reason to like put your shoulder into that, and maybe that is what Donald Trump is doing right now. With a shocking wild card pick for the vice presidency, Senator Marco Rubio of Florida. Trump eyes Marco Rubio as potential VP pick. The shortlist remains on the long side, but the senator from Florida is gaining traction, 6 sources told NBC News. Marco Rubio can speak Spanish fluently. Marco Rubio obviously is of Cuban descent himself. Marco Rubio has campaigned with Donald Trump before. They campaigned against each other and then for each other. Have an interesting relationship, but never adversarial necessarily. Like never at each other's throats. Senator Marco Rubio is moving up the list of former President Donald Trump's vice presidential picks, according to 6 people familiar with the presumptive Republican nominee for running mate. Rubio is hardly alone in the field. The cast of hopefuls for the job is large enough to fill an entire season of The Apprentice. Ha ha ha. Trump's estimated number of 15 at 15 in an interview in March 13 in Newsmax. One of the sources said Elise Stefanik, Ben Carson, Tim Scott are among in the mix. The list is long and it's extremely early in this kind of process, Trump advisor said. No one has been directly reached out to yet. I don't expect that for some time. 2 sources familiar with planning said there's a growing consensus around a June announcement of a vice presidential pick, at least a month before the convention. No firm plans yet. Trump's apparent seriousness about Rubio, 53, third-term senator, hints at his priorities, presents an intriguing set of complications. Rubio is young and telegenic. He has spent more time in federal office than Vice President Kamala Harris. And at the time when Trump is bullish on his chances of winning Latino voters, he would be the first Latino person on a major party ticket. In other words, Rubio, the Miami-born son of working-class Cuban immigrants, looks good on paper and on television, powerful combination for Trump. Pretty clear from Trump orbit that Rubio is in play, says a veteran Florida GOP operative. It makes sense because he checks almost every box that they can get past, both being from Florida. The Constitution prohibits electors from voting for a president and vice president from their own states. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote ballot by 2 persons, blah, blah, blah. But that didn't stop Dick Cheney, longtime Texan, from running from his residence in Wyoming so he could run with Texas George W. Bush. So what you do is you just have one of them just like swap, right? You just have one of them. Just because you're from Florida, Byron Donalds is also on the list, right? Byron Donalds, we love Byron Donalds, but you just have somebody run from a different residence. You change your residence. And Donald Trump has properties and houses all over the place. So Donald Trump could just run from anywhere, right? Maybe Rubio does too. I'm not exactly sure. So we'll see. Spokesperson for Rubio and Trump declined to comment for the article. I don't know, man. Interesting. That's the reporting out from this morning. Scoop. Trump eyes Marco Rubio for VP pick. The short list remains on the long side, but the Florida senator is getting traction. To the potential news of this, Marco Rubio tweeted this emoji. What? Okay. Marco Rubio has been a staunch defender of Donald Trump when needed. Here's a banger. The U.S. has put sanctions on other countries for doing exactly what the Colorado Supreme Court has done today. This did numbers, 1.3 million views, nearly 10,000 retweets. So Marco Rubio is saying, hey, listen, like, we're descending into a third world dictatorship. Perhaps it's time to stop that. And maybe Marco Rubio would be the person to do it with Donald Trump. I mean, listen, man, if you're looking for Latino outreach, the ground is fertile. Even on MSNBC, they're like talking to Latino voters. They're like, we're going Trump because we hate crime and illegal immigration.
Who's from El Paso and moved to Vegas about 5 years ago, is all in for Trump. I asked her why she thinks more and more Latinos are joining her.
Because they see what's happening with our economy. They know what the gas prices were, even in 2020. We weren't born yesterday. We recognize that all of the immigrants coming in through our border is not helping. It's causing crime.
It's causing crime. Bloomberg. Ladies and gentlemen, Fox News had a recent breaking story on what a potential Trump cabinet might look like. Apparently, Vivek Ramaswamy has been ruled out. We've been told by the Trump team that that's bullshit. But I am liking the way that this cabinet's looking.
Reporting the former president has told Vivek Ramaswamy he will not tap him for that particular job, though he is reportedly in contention for DHS secretary. Bloomberg says Kevin McCarthy is in the running for chief of staff. No word on whether he wants that job. And for attorney general, Senators Mike Lee and Ted Cruz. The Bloomberg piece says the former president has cooled on Senator Katie Britt, but is impressed by former rival Doug Burgum and may tap him to lead the transition if he wins. And Doug Burgum is a very
drapes, by the way. It's
competent executive.
Burgum, yeah. You and I have talked about him and what he's done
very
in
much.
his private life. And he brings a business mentality.
Yeah. My friend who worked with
government.
him at Microsoft said he would have voted for him in a second for president.
Is that right?
Really, really that good. There's news on possible vice presidential picks.
Oh, what you got there?
This is again, all rumors. Tim Scott, Congressman Byron Donalds, Governor Kristi Noem, and Tulsi Gabbard continues to be on that
probably double
list.
That list.
Apparently. I don't know who came up with that list.
Maybe triple that list too right now.
Maybe.
All right. A new
Bill
house.
Hemmer's on.
Yeah, okay, all right. Well, let's hear it from the man himself. Donald Trump asked recently during a national town hall what his qualifications for VP would be and who's on his list. Here's his answer.
Has been asked who they think would be a good choice, and various names came up. One of them was, of course, Vivek Ramaswamy. He's made a big splash. Ron DeSantis, who's making an appearance today in South Carolina, we just found out. Obviously, Tim Scott, Byron Donalds, and a big presence here for Tulsi Gabbard. Very interesting. And Kristi Noem as well, I should say. Right. Are they all on your short list? And when can we expect that you will announce your choice?
The one thing that always surprises me is that the VP choice has absolutely no impact. It's whoever the president is. It just seems. I remember when Sarah Palin was actually picked, and she did have a big up, and then they just went after her at a level that nobody's seen. The Republicans themselves went after what they did.
But you'll be a one-term president because you've already served, so you can only serve for one term, although they say you'll never leave office. I assume that you'll never leave. There'll never be another election
don't
again.
do it. He'll never leave. He's never going. Oh, these people.
Okay. Well, we'll see, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see. Donald Trump downplaying, I think, the decision for good reason because he hasn't made a decision yet. That's what we've been told. We can see these things from a mile away. Pick up the phone and call and get the answer. And the answer is they're not even close to a decision. Donald Trump, we were told this decision is made on Trump time, which is Donald Trump reading the energy and then going with his gut. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we're going to wait for. Is Marco Rubio a terrible choice? I don't know, man. I need to look into it. I'm certainly not endorsing that choice as of yet. I can see, however, the political tact of it. That's the best that I can tell. All right. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. Stay based.